Welcome to the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast with me, Dave Roberts. For the past few years, the conversation around artificial intelligence has largely focused on assistants, AI assistants that can answer questions, summarize documents, generate content, and help us be more productive. But what if AI no longer waits for your instructions? What if it starts working before you even ask? What if your digital assistant becomes a digital colleague? That is exactly the direction Microsoft is signaling with its latest innovation, Microsoft Scout. Scout is not positioned to be another chatbot. It is not simply a new version of Copilot. It represents something quite different. Microsoft describes Scout as an always-on personal agent, an AI system that remains active in the background, learns how you work, understands your priorities, and takes action on your behalf. In other words, the industry appears to be moving from AI assistants to AI autopilots. Today I'm going to look at what Microsoft Scout is, why it matters, and how it could transform the modern workplace, and why it may also create entirely new risks that technology leaders cannot afford to ignore. Because Scout is not just another product launch, it could represent the beginning of a completely new relationship between humans and workplace technology. To understand Scout, we first need to understand how quickly AI has evolved. The first generation of workplace AI was reactive. You asked a question and the AI provided an answer. You requested a summary and the AI generated one. Everything started with a prompt. Then we entered the era of agents. AI systems became capable of handling multiple steps. They could gather information, analyze data, generate outputs, and complete workflows. But they still relied heavily on instructions. They remained fundamentally reactive. Scout introduces a new concept of persistence. Instead of waiting to be activated, it remains active. Instead of responding to work, it observes work. Instead of waiting for instructions, it identifies opportunities to help. Think about that for a moment. For decades, software has been passive. Applications sat on our desktops waiting for us to use them. Scout turns that model upside down. The software is no longer waiting. The software is working. At its core, Scout is designed to operate across the Microsoft 365 environment. It can understand activity occurring across Outlook, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, calendars, contacts, and other workplace systems. The goal is to reduce what Microsoft describes as coordination work. And if we're honest, coordination work consumes a huge proportion of most people's day. This could involve scheduling meetings, following up actions, tracking deliverables, managing priorities, or reviewing emails. None of these activities are necessarily difficult, but collectively they consume hours. Microsoft Scout aims to take ownership of much of that burden. Imagine arriving at work and finding your AI agent has already reviewed your calendar and identified scheduling conflicts. It's prepared briefing materials, flagged potential project risks, highlighted overdue actions, and drafted email responses. This is not an assistant waiting for instructions, it is an active participant in your workflow. One of the most interesting aspects of Scout is Microsoft's use of the term autopilot. The word is carefully chosen. When we think about autopilot systems in aviation, the pilot remains responsible, the pilot remains accountable, but routine tasks are delegated to automation. The pilot focuses on judgment and decision making, and Microsoft appears to be applying the same philosophy to knowledge work. The AI handles routine administration. The human focuses on higher value activities such as strategy, leadership, innovation, decision making, and relationship building. In theory, this sounds incredibly attractive. After all, few executives wake up excited about managing meeting invitations. Few project managers enjoy chasing status updates. Few leaders want to spend hours processing email. The promise of Scout is simple. Let the machine manage the coordination and let people focus on what matters most. Many people will inevitably compare Scout with Microsoft 365 Copilot, but I believe that misses the point. Copilot helps you complete work. Scout aims to carry work forward. That distinction is critical. Copilot is something you interact with. Scout is something that operates alongside you. One requires attention, the other seeks to reduce the amount of attention required. This is arguably the most important shift occurring in enterprise AI. The industry is moving beyond question and answer interactions. It's moving towards delegated responsibility, and that changes everything. Let's examine the potential benefits. Knowledge workers spend enormous amounts of time managing the work rather than doing work. Studies have repeatedly shown that professionals lose hours every week to coordination activities such as meeting preparation, email management, information gathering, task tracking, status reporting, and project administration. These activities are necessary, but they are not where organizations generate competitive advantage. If Scout successfully automates even a fraction of this workload, the productivity gains could be substantial. The potential economic impact could be enormous, and this explains why Microsoft appears to be betting heavily on this new category of AI agents. Now we come to the difficult part, because the more powerful Scout becomes, the greater the governance challenge. To be useful, Scout requires context, lots of context. It needs access to emails, calendars, meetings, files, conversations, tasks, projects, and business processes. The AI cannot effectively help unless it understands what's happening. But this creates an obvious question. How much access are organizations willing to grant? Every tech leader listening today should be thinking carefully about this issue, because the success of autonomous agents depends upon trust. If employees do not trust the system, adoption will stall. If organizations cannot govern the system, deployment will stall. If regulators become concerned, growth could stall. The challenge is balancing capability with control, and that may be one of the most defining technology leadership challenges of the next decade. Another issue has emerged in recent discussions surrounding Scout, this being dependency. The more effective a digital agent becomes, the more people rely on it. Initially, this seems positive. After all, software that nobody uses provides little value. But there is an important distinction between engagement and dependency. Technology leaders should ask themselves an uncomfortable question. What happens when employees become reliant on AI systems for coordination, prioritization, and decision support? Can they still operate effectively without them? Can organizations continue functioning during outages? Can workers maintain situational awareness if software handles everything? These are not purely technical questions. They are resilience questions, business continuity questions, and leadership questions. Whenever new technology arrives, people naturally ask whether jobs are at risk. I think the reality is more nuanced. Scout appears designed primarily to eliminate friction rather than eliminate people. The target is administrative workload, coordination workload, routine workflow management. But technology history teaches us an important lesson. When repetitive work disappears, expectations increase. Employees often spend less time on administration and more time on higher value activities. The challenge for leaders is ensuring their workforce is prepared for that transition, because the future workforce may reward judgment more than administration, creativity more than coordination, and critical thinking more than process execution. I believe Scout gives us a glimpse into the future of enterprise software. Today we open applications. Tomorrow applications may work on our behalf. Today we manage software. Tomorrow software may help manage work. Today AI responds to requests. Tomorrow AI may identify opportunities before requests are even made. This transition will not happen overnight. There will be technical challenges such as security concerns, governance requirements, cultural resistance, and regulatory scrutiny. But the direction of travel appears increasingly clear. The workplace is becoming agent-driven, and Microsoft Scout may be one of the first major examples of what the future looks like. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with 5 questions. First, what percentage of your employees' time is currently spent on coordination rather than value creation? Second, which business processes would benefit most from autonomous support? Third, how will you govern AI agents acting on behalf of employees? Fourth, what controls will you implement to maintain transparency and accountability? And fifth, how will you ensure AI augments human capability rather than creating unhealthy dependency? The organizations that answer these questions effectively will be positioned for the next phase of AI transformation. Microsoft Scout is not simply another AI feature. It represents a new vision for how work gets done, a vision where software does not wait for instructions, a vision where every employee has access to a persistent digital colleague working in the background. Whether that future delivers unprecedented productivity or creates entirely new challenges remains to be seen. Most likely, it will deliver both. For technology leaders, the objective is not to resist this change, nor is it to embrace it blindly. The objective is to understand it, govern it, and deploy it responsibly. Because the question is no longer whether AI will become part of everyday work. The question is, how much work are we willing to hand over? And that may be one of the most important leadership decisions of the AI era. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Inspiring Tech Leaders podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. You can find more insights, show notes, and resources at www.inspiringtechleaders.com. Head over to the social media channels. You can find Inspiring Tech Leaders on X, Instagram, Inspo, and TikTok. And let me know your thoughts on the announcement of Microsoft Scout. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in tech.